Hi, everyone, and thank you for watching On Call for All Kids. Today's topic is about home safety. We'll be discussing how common injuries in the home are, how to make all rooms in your home a safer place, and other hazards you should also take into consideration. I am joined by Petra V. Berlova. She is the supervisor of Safe Kids here at Johns Hopkins All Children's Hospital. And Petra, it's great to see you and talk about this topic.
Hey, Ashley, how are you doing?
I'm doing really good. Let's talk about statistics worldwide. We think our house is probably one of the safest places for our kids to be, but statistics show that maybe that's not the case. What can you tell us?
So, typically, on an average year, about 2,200 children die nationally from home related injuries. That's something that happens in their houses. Very, very sad. And 3.5 million children visit the emergency room or get hospitalized in regards to home related injuries. So, big numbers there we are seeing.
Well, as parents and caregivers, we want to keep our kids safe. Can you kind of walk us through room by room of our home, starting with the living room, and tell us what we should be looking for to keep our kiddo safer?
Sure. So imagine yourself walking into your living room or your friend's living room. Imagine those little things that make it extra homely. Those things can potentially cause a choking hazard. So when you are looking at the items that are smaller, maybe place them up higher that are out of the reach of the children. The other thing is, and that goes for your whole house, every single piece of furniture should be tied down with brackets that have certain weight limits on them. So if the child was to climb on the furniture, just maybe to reach something that they may need, even for school, the furniture doesn't tip, and children are creative. They can pull out the drawers. So that poses an additional hazard. Additionally, we like to talk about TVs when it comes to your living room. So flat screen TVs should always be mounted on the wall with the approved mount for that weight. And if you have a box TV, put it on a sturdy piece of furniture that is tied to the wall and is kind of low to accommodate the television.
And Petra, let's move on to the kitchen area. As we walk into there, what should we consider?
So as we walk into the kitchen, we reminisce on good times with the family, right? Families eat together, families cook together. When we are surrounded by children, a couple of things we want to keep in mind when it comes to the kitchen. Cooking on the back burners is a big tip because things can get hot and little children don't necessarily understand that. So we want to keep it out of their reach. And if you're forced to cook on the front burner, make sure the handle of the pot is turned away so nobody can reach it and pull it down toward themselves. And the other thing is in the kitchen, families have a tendency to keep cleaning products, right? So when it comes to cleaning products, I have a little game for us, Ashley, and I have a Gatorade and I have Windex. So chemicals can look very similar to drinks and foods. So can you guess which one is which?
I would say in your right hand, which is on the left side of the screen, is that Gatorade, and then the other one is chemicals?
No, this one is chemicals. This one is Gatorade.
See, it's tricky. An adult doesn't even know. That's very scary.
Very scary. So when buying in bulk, our recommendation is to keep it in the original container, and also child-proofing your cabinets in the kitchen and anywhere in the house where laundry detergents or chemicals are stored using these or similar brackets. We do not have necessarily a preference for a bracket, but make sure it's hard for the child to get. Another good one is this one that the child cannot open it and get to it.
Okay. Mm-hmm. How about the staircase? Some of us live in a one-story, so we don't have to worry about it. If we do live in that two-story, what should we keep in mind?
So staircases, of course, falls and tumbles down, and we would like to see the staircases protected from top and bottom. And that is because maybe the child is coming down, but they can also climb 2/3 up and tumble down, right? So we are looking for gates that are approved and are able to be mounted to the wall. Now, not everybody has that opportunity, so use the safest option possible. Just prevent the child from having access to that staircase. And you mentioned a couple of floors. One of the things I always think about is also window guards. We want to make sure our windows are secured and the child cannot fall out of the window on a story that they are on. That would be very dangerous.
Oh, that would be terrible. How about taking us into the bedrooms? What should we think about?
So when it comes to the bedrooms, we always emphasize safe sleeping safe sleeping environment, particularly when it comes to children under the age of 1. So the children under the age of 1 have a hard time maybe first turning on their back, etc. So we strongly recommend having them in a separate crib. You can share the room with them. That's very safe, so you can hear them, etc. But have a separate crib or pack and play or something that they are alone in that bed. Remove all the blankets, the cute teddy bears, the bumper pads, anything that is in that environment for the child can cause them to potentially suffocate. And that is very, very scary. Now, you can have some things, and that is firm mattress and tight fitting sheet. So the child is nice and safe and sleeps well.
And how about in our bathrooms? You think about maybe there's some more chemicals in there, but what else?
So in our bathrooms, one of the things that I always talk about is medicine. And I have another game here. So is this a vitamin or is it a gummy bear? And if you're 2 years old, do you really know? And even if you know it's a vitamin, do you know how much to take? Right?
You wouldn't know. Those look delicious. Are they vitamins?
They are vitamins, but I'll show you gummy bears as well here in a second. And hopefully you will see if how similar they look, and oh, sorry. So look how similar that looks.
Very similar.
Very similar. And one of the things with vitamins and medicine, it is very similar to candy, but it can be very toxic for the child's body. So with that said, if your child ingests any medicine, any type of medication or cosmetics in the bathroom, please call the Poison Center. And the number is 1-800-222-1222.
Great number.
Posting.
Put on our fridge to put in our phones as well. And Petra, what are some other considerations when we're thinking about home safety?
So when we are thinking about home safety, it is very important to know where your firearms are and that they are stored safely. So our recommendation is to store the firearms out of the child's reach, out of their sight, separately from the ammunition, hopefully with a child-proof lock on the gun, in a safe that has a combination that is unknown to the child. It is very, very dangerous for a small child or any child to find a firearm that is loaded, and they may start playing with it and can get hurt. And we don't want that under any circumstances.
Well, Petra, these were vital tips and information. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us and educate and inform us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Sure. And one other consideration might even be pool safety. Many of us have pools living in Florida. The weather is getting a little bit warmer. We have a whole article on water safety on our website. It's hopkinsallchildrens.org/coronavirus. And if you just scroll down to the bottom of the page, you can get that article and a lot of other resources and information there as well. Thank you for joining us, Petra. And thank you all for watching. We'll see you next week.